So we drove all night from Alabama and got to Texas. I think I'm in southeast Texas. Got here at 4 in the morning and I'm just waking up and going outside for the first time without seeing where I am. So here we are here. Here's one of the hunting cabins. Now let's go out and have a look outside for the first time, see where we are. Whoa. It's like I'm in Africa. This is crazy. What? Wow. All right. The adventure continues. Oh. Whew. The adventure never stops. Ever. God. I mean, who do you know that knows they have to do a 12-hour road trip and leaves at 2:30 in the afternoon? Who does that? Man. We do. We did it. And we drove through Louisiana, through Shreveport. Is that right? Sorry if I got it wrong. And the ocean was literally falling from the sky. Unbelievable rain. Drove over this highway that was built on top of concrete pilings all forever across swamp. Unfortunately, drove through most of the night, so I didn't get to see all the new territory. You know, I've never been to this part of Texas. I've been to Uvalde, Texas, and around Austin, Texas, and Fort Worth. But I like getting out in the country, right? So this is southeast Texas. I don't know where we are, rural, and it's kind of rolling hills. Not hot. It's cooler than normal right now. The weather's a little off, but definitely sleep deprived. Whew. But anyway, we made it. Very interesting people here, very kind people. Hit it right off with this character that owns this place. Super, super cool dude. Apparently he's real tight buddies with Ted Nugent, and he has a hunting ranch here. It's all new to me, so new. And yeah, I'm kind of babbling here, I guess, but anyways, we actually went looking for turkeys this morning. I don't know what's going on now, but we finally got back to the main ranch house, and I finally got to cut away for a little bit of time here and relax. And I think the last time I made a video, I was talking about possibly running the camera with Rourke and bringing up the topic of what we talk about here mainly, and just having that conversation. And we ended up having the conversation I talked about, but we didn't have the video camera. Once the conversation started, it didn't stop. And he is a very intelligent guy. You know, you talk about A-type people. Well, if there is a triple A-type, that's who Rourke is. He's like SEAL team commander. Been around the world, been to combat numerous times. Got Chris Kyle, the sniper, was under his command. Many stories. Very, very intelligent guy. Very on. It's interesting for me when you speak to people with brains that fire like that, because as you're talking to them, you don't have to finish your sentence when you're telling them something. They know what you're talking about. Yeah, they get it, you know. And he showed an honest curiosity in what I saw. And I started off telling him, I said, I don't give a shit if you believe me or not. I actually don't really even want to talk to you about it. But if you want to, I'll do it. And he's like, no, I don't want to hear about it. So I told him. And then he's like, wow. And he started asking me questions, which I like that when people actually show an interest. And he trusts me. So, and as we've been traveling along, he's brought it up a couple other times, asking me more questions about the topic. So, there you go. That's how that went, so that won't be on video. I don't imagine unless he wants to, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to get a couple voices heard, I think. Uh-oh, mosquitoes? Really? I thought we left those. I'm going to have to go get some mosquito spray here. Maybe, we'll see, unless that was a random. Hope everybody's doing well in the world. I don't know if you're following me and my life. This channel is it's not the average one, I don't think. Somebody's been emailing me, a man's been emailing me comments from the comments section. as well as others. I usually get screenshots, but here's a bunch of recent comments of stories on the channel. All right. From M. Lewis. Some stories people posted in the comments. Added some punctuation and some spelling. Noel was busy posting from Australia. Sounds like a fighter jet. Wow. Without a doubt it's a fighter jet, but he's in the clouds. Crazy, not a common sound for me. A man named Noel commented and said, I'm terrified of them. I've had a few encounters with them. The most dangerous was as a boy at a swimming hole. A juvenile came out of the bush trying to get my attention, and my mates that were a bit older were Aboriginal, and they saved me. My parents knew about the creature. They had large dogs around the house and geese and peacocks on the farm to warn us at night. Another person, Tammy Wing. I also have had an experience with them several times, but I can't even go close to the woodline. And I have a panic attack when I have to drive through the national forest. I think one followed me home, and yes, they do cloak. It throws rocks and pebbles at me when I walk my dogs. One day my son was talking to me outside, and it came from where he parked his car. And it was a good-sized rocks. And it hit me right in my upper leg and left a big red mark. My son seen the rock hit my leg, and he said, "What the F is going on, Mom?" I told him, "I told you what was going on, and you told me it was the tree rats in the trees doing that." He said, now I seen it happen, but nothing was there. I just told him to leave it alone. Maybe if we act like it's not, it will go away. But every once in a while I will get a feeling and tell the girls it's time to go inside now. I could write a book about it all. Have a very blessed day and a happy Easter. Edit. Note. Tree rats is a common Australian term, hence Noel's next question and reply to Tammy, given her, quote, tell the girls time to go inside now, end quote. But tree rat is also used in Southeast Asia and Africa. This is from Noel. Are you from Australia? I can tell you some things that were told to me by the elders, about the Junjuri or Junjudi, the smaller Yowies. They were driven north by their Aboriginals because they were stealing people, mainly children. They are the Abraham Lincoln-looking type, with not as much hair on them, similar to a Neanderthal man. Very human-looking, but hairy and very aggressive. They mimic children, and laughing and crying like a child is often a technique they use to trap children. I was also told that swimming holes are often a place they are seen. There's a sighting report on the, quote, YouTube channel. In the same area years later, a lady was bumped by one on a walking track. There's a cattle station around the Gulf of Carpentaria in far north Australia that is now abandoned because they got so aggressive. I believe the military now own the place. I know it happened at the place back in the last 90s to drive off. I know it happened at the place back in the late 90s to drive off the owners. Steve, hi mate from Australia. I have some friends that saw one of those dogmen here that had the same floppy ears as the one reported by the other person from Australia. I still have contact with some of the people. I played the witness account to them. My friend said it was a woman, and it walked up to the car they were in and smiled at them. They know the exact location. There's an abandoned house in the bush we believe they are living in. One of the witnesses works for the National Parks and Wildlife Service. That happened in the early 90s. Nobody in Australia had heard of a dogman. Another comment from Greg Seegers. That's where I had my first experience, was in Lisbon Falls, Maine. My great-grandparents had a raspberry farm at the end of a half-a-mile-long driveway. I was 7 years old. My mammy was putting me to bed around 7 p.m., I'd say. Still light out. I saw a huge hair-covered creature on 2 legs come out of the woods beyond the crops. I was so scared and unconsolable that my BAMP had to drive me all the way home to Bucksfield. That encounter I witnessed has stayed with me my entire life, and I'm 53 now. I had no other experiences since then. Hunting and fishing throughout the states of Maine and New Hampshire. Happy Easter. There you go. Appreciate that. Appreciate sending those in to us. Glad they got heard on probably a much wider scale. I don't think everybody goes to the comment section, I don't believe, on the channel. Oh my god, these bugs drive me crazy. I keep going to that one ear. And in it. Come on, you guys. Leave me alone. Well, there's a few more here, right? A few more yet. 3 stories from comments April 21st, 2025. George Miller commented, I've seen 8 different Sasquatch with my bare eyes. I've been stalked, played with, played tag with juveniles, heard minds speak from at least 2 of them, had multiple encounters that were not seen but heard, and they are real. Another person answered to his comment said, whereabouts do these things happen? Send your story in. I'm sure Steve would love to read it. Okay, shoot, me too. Been crazy sometimes. I was surrounded. One time they were whistling. I, at the time, thought it was other hunters. I never saw them that time. I just thought I was going to die hunting. I was so mad, and there's more to the story. 50 to 60 deer ran right at me. I would thought they were running away from me, but then I was surrounded. I'm sure they were mad as I jacked their hunt, I guess. Then the one time one blew in the back of my neck, and that was hell. Wow. And then Gary Baumel replied, here in West Virginia, I've found twice where something sat down on a log and ate a turkey and stacked the bones and feathers. Tell me what wild predator does this. Picks feathers and stacks them along with bones. No normal wild animals do this, but something with hands could do it. True crime, MAB. Steve is just a badass. We bred those back in the day before cell phones and iPads. We only had black and white TVs, and if you had one at all, the woods raised us. I ran wild from the age of 7, on my own at 12, working cornfields, detasseling, hunting night crawlers with homemade football helmet with a flashlight taped to the top, and yes, up to high school and uphill back in the snow and rain. Life was so good. There you go. All right, now, what's this one? Quick question is the title of this email. Hey Steve, Kendall here in Georgia again. Old wives' tale about turkey hunting around here is they will not gobble once the blackberries start blooming. I found this to be true for me personally. I was wondering what you and your buddies in Alabama think about that. Do they experience the same? We'll be listening for your response. Thanks, Kendall. I don't know. Haven't a clue. I'll ask. I'll ask them. They are definitely turkey freaks. What's this one? Oh, more comments, stories. I guess there's a whole pile that goes in the comments and not my inbox and the emails, huh? This is from Diane Pease. I lived in Montana and I seen a Sasquatch. My foster daughter and I both saw it, lurking around the corner of the garage as we drove up. We measured it at about 9.5 to 10 feet tall. And there were other creepy things that we saw and experienced out there on the Crow Indian Res. I'm living in Washington State now while everybody else in the family is living back in Montana. I just don't know if I want to go back. Texas Rose wrote in. I had a place by the edge of the forest where I had left food for the deer, and I realized a Sasquatch was eating it. I once put some trinkets for Sasquatch on my porch, and one of them mind spoke and told me not to do that because it could attract other beings who are dangerous, and I took them off. Note taken. Rose Raspberries, 72, wrote in. I've never seen one, and I live in Australia. They're called yowies here, but I've had other things happen in my life, like sleep paralysis with something sitting on top of me with my wrists pinned. I naturally was about to go into hyper fear, but a strong voice, my soul, said to me, "Do not fear." And as soon as I heard that, the fear instantly went away, as well as the thing sitting on my chest. Interesting. Another comment by Jean Lefevre. How many of us have had a pine cone thrown so hard in your back it hurts for hours? I have. You're probably not the only one. Karen Lee commented, Alaska. I only have similar stories, except our hairy men are vicious and compete with us due to difficulties in access to moose and caribou. They can and will kill, but I think they're cautious. They don't want our highly armed and protective people. They don't want our highly armed and protective people will fight, but we know it could not end well. We are at a standoff. We lose over 4,000 people a year that are never found. My opinion, our areas are so remote, even hairy man has difficulties getting food. Just my opinion. From Alaska. I don't think that's a problem myself. And 4,000 people go missing a year. Are you talking about Alaska? I think that would probably be on the news nonstop, wouldn't it? 4,000 people a year just to one state? Another man named Trey commented, I had one of these beings twist the hind leg off at the hip from one of my whitetail kills. Just an average sized doe that I let go overnight rather than push it further from where I could get my truck to. The shot was taken in low light, and I wasn't certain where I hit it, but the shot felt true when I squeezed off, so I assumed it was a perfect hit. But why take the chances? Every time I let one go overnight on this property, both hindquarters would be eaten by foxes and coyotes, etc. That's what I expected to find in the morning. But the deer died in the field edge. The field edge that every wild canine would have hunted for small game overnight. One hindquarter was removed, and the area around the deer scent marked with a nasty stench that kept the wild canines from getting near the deer. I'd known these beings were around me when I hunted for years, after what you might call a deathbed confession from a friend that was dying of cancer. He confided in me that his bear encounter, that everyone made fun of him for since the poorer hunters didn't believe they were around, was actually a Bigfoot. That had happened decades prior to his confession. I guess he felt like he had to tell someone before he died, and I had never doubted his bear encounter. I had a bear claim one of my kills and was fine with it, respecting his claim. But after thinking about it, the big guys being near me when I hunted explained lots of things that the wildlife did that didn't make any sense. Hard-hit deer would run uphill to apparently avoid something in the direction you would expect a hard-hit deer to go. A guy in a ghillie suit that would never have seen me in my tree stand through lush growth in many canopy layers, obviously made by either sensing me or smelling me, doubling back to go by in the nastiest sticker bushes. Deer being spooked from downwind, running right to me and stopping next to me, despite going up my scent on the breeze, like they felt it was safer next to a hunter than it was near whatever spooked the downwind. Spooked them from downwind. I'd usually take the heart and liver to share with my dogs, but all the places that felt like I had company, I started leaving all the internal organs from my kills lined up on a log to make it clear I was giving them the most nutritious parts of my kill. I'd drag the deer out and go back to my stand, and almost always the heart, liver, lungs, kidney, etc. had been carried off in the half hour it took me to get back from my stand. The Bigfoot that took the hind leg could have easily taken that whole deer, but I think it knew the wild canines would eat both hindquarters and decided to make sure we split them by taking one entire hind leg and scent marking the area to keep the wild canines away from my kill. I was very happy with this arrangement because I had some deer kills taken whole, including one massive buck, before making them my hunting partners, with them getting all the most nutritious parts of every kill I made. Most Bigfoot seem to be fine with me taking the deer if they know I'll leave the most nutritious parts of the deer for them. I hunted a lot of different properties back then, but only had this arrangement at 3 of them. Wow, that's pretty crazy. But leaving a hind quarter, leaving a leg for humans has been reported many times. But also, many livestock have been noted taken and having a hind quarter ripped off and left, right? Very interesting. What we got here? This is titled Aussie Sasquatch. Hey Steve, I'll start off with saying my experience only started a few years ago after my wife and I moved to rural Victoria, Australia during COVID to escape all the lockdowns going on. Police acting like the Gestapo in the police state. Crazy times. Weren't it? I can't believe you Aussies didn't smash the shit out of those. Band together, make an army and flatten them. You guys got it real bad. Well, so did we, but you guys got it real bad from those Nazi sons of bitches down there. I got a job to start off this new chapter in forestry, to tick a box I always wanted to do. Getting paid to be in the pines all day was a dream job. It wasn't long before I noticed more often than not, gullies and steep valleys near streams and lakes seemed to have patterns of perfectly bowed and bent tree structures, and many resembled X's and A's. My curiosity just couldn't let it rest. There's no way in the world the wind can physically do this to these structures. From there, my curiosity grew, going deeper, looking into the brush, their territory, then the large bare footprints I would find. Huge adults, sometimes young with them. Always trying to justify it, but without any luck. I researched it all and found the Aborigines here would call them the Doolaga. Long story short, since moving to our dream home, backing onto a large national park, we had visitors in the night. Started with the dogs going off, always around 3 a.m. Bangs on the side of our house. Plenty of times, perfectly snapped, equal-length sticks with either X or A at her front door. My wife started out not believing it at all. Now she has seen them more than once. One waving to her outside the tree line and vanishing slowly from the legs up, and another running across a neighbor's paddock. Her camping enthusiasm, since then, is zero. I haven't had any visual encounters, but that's fine with me. I still hunt and spend a lot of time in the bush, just always more vigilant of the feel of my surroundings and knowing when to leave. The calls at night, whooping, footsteps crashing through the brush at night of a large bipedal creature doesn't happen in Aussie unless it's another human. Our outside sensor lights, solar panels turned upside down multiple times so they don't work. When we've been away, wind cannot physically do this with the stiff brackets attached to them. Anyway, your channel really helps people from far and wide to tell their encounters. Thanks for your time, Lockie. Loki? Hope I didn't ruin your name, man. Appreciate that. Welcome to the club. And keep us updated if you wish. There's a lot of people that want to hear. A lot of people that want answers and want to know, right? And I'm sure, I have a funny feeling one of my buddies is probably going to crack this open, what I'm doing, to the people that own this ranch, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe they've seen something, too. You never know. But I can't remember what you guys... I know the Big Thicket. I asked my two partners with me if they knew whether heard of the Big Thicket, and they hadn't. I'll ask these people. They'll know where it is, the Big Thicket. I don't know where it is. I'm not quite sure where exactly I am. I'll figure it out after I do this. And I'll be a little more informative tomorrow. Wouldn't that be great if they'd seen these people and said it in front of my partners? Oh, these bugs. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to get out of here. Why? Just my right side of my head. You got to be kidding me. Vanishing Act. Hi, Steve. My husband started watching a show a few years ago when we lived in rural Victoria, Australia. And he started working in forestry. I found it odd initially as I didn't think Sasquatch was a thing, let alone in Australia. But his photos of footprints and stick structures in the middle of the brush were compelling. He served in the Navy and is a tough outdoorsy guy and is honest. We moved within the same town but further into the bush. Our house was on a hill backing onto the national park. We have 2 dogs, Kelpies, black and brown. A neighbor had 2 black and white dairy cows. I arrived home from shopping and parked at the bottom of the hill approximately 100 meters from the balcony/house. I saw what was the size of a black horse or gorilla running across a neighbor's back paddock approximately 1 kilometer away. It moved more like a gorilla would on all fours, long arms, galloping on its knuckles. We don't have bears in Australia nor gorillas, and it wasn't the shape of a horse, but about that size. My first thought was our dog got out being black, but I could see them on the balcony. The next thought was the cows, as that's an area they usually graze in, that they were under a tree in front of where I parked. When I got inside both our bedroom and bathroom windows, both our bedroom and bathroom windows looked directly at that view, so I went to see if it was still hanging around, and it wasn't. The next day I looked out the same window when the cows were up in the back paddock in the same location as the Sasquatch was, and I realized how small they looked from the bedroom window. 100 meters closer than the day before, and how long the creature must have been from the bottom of the driveway. How large the creature must have been from the bottom of the driveway. The second encounter, a few days later, I could smell a revolting stench drifting down the hallway. I felt paralyzed with fear, unable to turn my head to see if it was one of the dogs, which would be weird because they're not pups anymore and wouldn't poop inside. Then the paralysis went, and I could turn around and nothing was there, and the dogs were outside. And the last encounter, about a week later, again parking down the front of the property and walking up with the groceries. About halfway up the drive, in the exact same location as the first sighting, I could see a man waving. I called out, "Hi, Paul," to I assumed was our neighbor, and waved, and then slowly lowered my hand, and as I got a better look and realized he didn't seem to have legs, but his body vanished into nothing/translucence. My husband didn't believe this until he heard on your show people saying they go invisible. I was like, I told you. He knows I'm not a liar and hates lies, so deep down he knew it had to be true. Yeah, it sucks for us sometimes to have to accept shit, right? I'm guilty, but I accept the people's testimonies when there's more than a few. You have to. I haven't seen one again. We think it could be just because we're new to the property and they were curious. I did hear one mimic me calling our dog one night. A separate time, my husband thought I was calling him when I was actually inside and didn't know what he was talking about. So they definitely can mimic. My husband would often hear footsteps when running in the bush or chopping firewood. We'd both hear tree knocks, see bent trees, and most nights the dogs would go nuts, barking at about 3 a.m. We've now moved. Thank you for your channel. We love what you're doing. Cheers, Laura. All right, Laura, welcome to the club. Thanks for being honest and brave and sharing your truth. And keep us posted, would you? Sounds like you're going to be in for a handful of experiences there. And I'm especially thank you for coming forward with the going invisible part. If that's happening and that's truth, I want to hear every single person that's seen it. Have to. We have to hear it, right? We have to hear it all. But anyway, I think I did pretty good for today, considering I've got 2 hours sleep. The bugs are chewing my ass off right now. And I had an ostrich chasing me today. Random, right? Got him on video with my 360 cam. Maybe I'll even put it up here later on. We'll see. But anyway, I'm babbling. I'm going to see if I might be able to sneak off and have a nap. And I might put some of what I've seen so far on the tail end of this to share with all of you. And then I would imagine I'll be able to come back tomorrow and do this again. All right? There you go. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Get it to me. I haven't a clue. I haven't talked to Sarah about fishing this summer. I don't know what days they're open or how many are gone, but if you want to fish, you can contact her in the links below. What else? Her store's down there. Hats, blah, blah. You know the routine. And I will be back tomorrow. Unless a scorpion, a rattlesnake, or a tarantula kills me. See you in a bit.